my power to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the key is never give never make AI an altar.
Yeah.
Balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about balance and reconnection with your essence. And you will get all the information when you're in that state. And you can do it through meditation, you can do it by swimming, you can do it by walking in the park. The best way for me is always to get out into nature because nature has the intelligence already. Would be, every mother would then tell their children about the characters of the ancestors. So if you see that temper coming up, you know exactly which ancestor had that specific temper.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's very important to change a system. Really, for me, when you work through those levels, the last part for me is creating a new system,
Yeah.
a new lifestyle, a new way of behaving, a new way of getting up in the morning, a new way of communicating. And that raises your vibration. To get to that point, for me, is to go deeper into the shadow.
Hello, everyone, to the Cosmic Living Room, the first show after so many years. I'm happy that Damien is here today, my first guest, as I start this series after 8 years again, almost 8 years. And also 8 years ago, Damien, you were my first guest.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I see some pattern in this.
I hope it's a good one.
Yeah. For everyone who doesn't know Damien, Damien is a healer, spiritual teacher, a dear friend of mine. And I don't know, do you want to talk about your journey, how you got here, or should we tell people if they like to know more about this, please to watch the video from 8 years ago? Because in that video we talked about your journey and how you
Okay.
discovered your gifts and yeah.
Yeah, that part feels, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, excellent. Thank you, Karen, for having me. Uh,
Yeah.
First again, wow.
Hmm.
It's really like an evolution. Really nice to
It feels like a different life, you know?
exactly. That's what I'm like, really. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like since we've known each other, we've developed and everybody's developed so much, and we're different people and we're aligned in different level, well, different connections within us because we've cleared so much in our own systems. And
Mm,
just to give everyone just a little bit of snippet about the work I do, it's about embodiment and it's about really connecting to your essence and working with the genetic. For example, when we're born, we come with a lot of contracts from past lives, for example, of why we're here, family members. There are council who sign contracts before we come, and then we drop into the body. And once we drop into the body, we drop into the blood information, the genetic system of our ancestors. So that connects us to our DNA. So for me, I was guided by spirit to really work with the information within the cells so I can really connect to who I am without the epigenetic information from the ancestors negatively affecting me. So we're full of epigenetic memory fields because the ancestors are living their blueprint, their memory fields, their anxieties, their fears, whatever is, and the great things are living inside our system. And if we're not aware of that and become conscious of it, it can really direct our compass of our life in a specific way that maybe you think it's you, but it's not really you. So for me, it's
mm,
really important to honor that I'm spirit that dropped and chose to drop into this family genetic system. And my biological mom is behind me on the left-hand side, which connects me to my ancestors on my mother's line. And if you see like a river flowing of information flowing to you and back continuously,
mhm.
like a DNA strand. And the same with the dad, he's on the right-hand side behind you, and that connects you to the father's line, and that DNA strand flows. And this is a flow of information, and what they couldn't resolve, you can resolve it yourself and work through those fields yourself, and then your children too. So the work I do is really working with the genetic information, working with the ancestors, being aware of what's in our system, bring it up to the conscious level and see what belief systems are there, anxieties, limitations, fears. So I don't turn into my father's behavior pattern, anxieties, limiting belief systems, and I become free of them. And as I become free of them, I become more myself and start living or, resetting my foundation. I always saw from the beginning that it's about, we're born in a house with a foundation maybe that's rotten and walls that are rotten. And we need to smash the foundation, smash the walls, smash the house, and rebuild the foundation, rebuild the entire system related to who we are and what we want to bring into our lives. So this is the work I've been directed or to do by Spirit. And over the years, Spirit's been showing me how to break the foundation, how to work with the walls, reset the system and recalibrate and build a system up again without limiting belief systems, without abuse in the system, without self-sabotage in the system. And that in itself will bring you to a state of wholeness.
Hmm.
So that's just the basics of the work that I've been doing.
Yeah, and it's a really great work.
Thank you.
Um, there is a saying in the spiritual community or in books, I heard that people assume the that we take on the genetic information from 7 generations, but for my feeling is much more than 7. What do you feel about this?
I feel it's like as far back 70 generations.
Yeah.
It's just a collective, and may have an anger coming up in you, and that could be going 70 generations back on both sides. So that's a mountain of anger which you is in your system, and it dissociates you. So yeah,
Hmm.
I would believe it's further back, much further back, and it
Yeah.
really affects us. And also, for example, in your relationship, when you enter a relationship system and you bring a partner into the system, then you're entering their genetic information too, and their ancestors. And especially if it's multicultural, then there could be like, I don't like this, that person in the system. So it's like there's many, many different ways you can bring consciousness to it and change the systems, really change,
Hmm.
address it. So for me, I'm working very much for me, it makes sense. It's very grounded. It's very easy information to work with because it makes sense. And when you bring it up to the conscious level, you can really see how it affects relationships, business, health, entrepreneurial, working with NGOs, working with world systems, banking systems, political systems. It's all connected, interconnected.
Hmm.
That's why I love this work that it's, for example, I'm here in Athens, just at the Parthenon, but it's like in this field, they were very conscious of system work, of how systems work, and that, you know, the Heather is the one who worked through their topics, worked through their ego, and they got back into their system, and then they initiate to another level. So for me, we are all, you know, demigods in a way because we all have the God codes within us. But then can I handle them? Am I living from them? Am I communicating from it? Am I making love from those systems?
Hmm.
So do I love those systems? Do I accept those systems? Do I accept that I have a direct connection with God, with Source, with creation, with Allah, whatever you want to call it, related to your belief systems? So for me, then it's about releasing the altars, my altars, and going
Hmm.
direct source. And yeah, that's why I've been sort of like directed living in different parts of the world and bringing in knowledge from different parts of the world and very ancient knowledge, which is living codes, living blueprints to work with in our system and remember, because it's about remembering and being open to remembering. And it's, we need each other really to remember. And when we work with honor and we have the ability to hold space for ourselves and everybody around us
Hmm.
to acknowledge and see destruction, even evil, and demons and love, and we observe them, but we don't judge them. So then we reunite with our essence, and that aspect also is a mirror of ourselves. So for me, it's very important to work with the demons within me, and then I'll be more aware of the demons around me, and they can't get into my system.
Mm-hmm.
Only
That's
reason,
a very good point.
yeah, yeah. The only reasons, for example, that something affects you is because it's within you. Now, when I
Yeah.
say within you, it doesn't mean it's directly from this life. It could be from your ancestors. I'll give you a very simple example. I was, years ago, there was somebody I knew, and this person was always like, women didn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
So I always felt like not safe. This guy's not safe. And I connected and I says, "Oh, do you realize there's a rape energy in your field?" He's like, "Oh my God, I'd never rape a woman. What are you talking about? I love women." So I said, "No, no, it's not you, but it's in your system."
Yeah.
It wasn't until this person could accept, oh, okay, it's in me, I accept it. Then we worked through it because it was from an ancestor. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's the way we all are, that we all have different topics which affects us and affects how life interacts with us. So it's about clearing what's in the way of ourselves. And then if we clear that within ourselves, then we reunite with the people around us without that interfering spirit getting into the system.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I'm working a lot with divorce at the moment and how the spirit of divorce is very contagious in a system. It's no problem to get divorced, but it's a natural spirit of divorce. And if that spirit of divorce gets into the system, it will affect your business, it will affect your future relationships in every field and create blockages, financial blockages, disturbances within the system. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very important to take it out of the system. I've seen it in major corporations where the spirit of divorce got into the corporation and then the money's frozen, then the relationships are breaking, then everything breaks in the system. It goes into divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are very important to be aware of. I feel if you know how to do things consciously, um, which I'm getting a lot of information, for example, in Kenya. I'm also working a lot with the tribes there and living in Kenya. So at the moment, I'm really connected very much with, Kakamega Forest and the tribes there and the healing information there. And they have a really deep knowledge of family
Mm-hmm.
systems, which is really beautiful, and how to different rituals about reconnecting with the ancestors' higher selves and Mother Earth, which I was doing those, well, I was doing, I've done it in some webinars where you've probably done that one, Karen, I'm not sure, where we reconnect to the placenta. So placenta,
Mm-hmm.
cord, which is a connection point with Mother Earth, with the forest, with Earth, with the stars, then with the ancestors. So they have got really, really important rituals of reconnecting consciously with your ancestors in a conscious way, but not in the destructive way. So through the interaction of uh, working with the knowledge I've been collecting from all over the world in these ancient sites and honoring them and respecting them. They've been sharing a lot of keys with me and a lot of ancient knowledge, which for me is very, very important to share into the field
Yeah.
for the ones who are ready for it. So yeah, it's interesting. The portal of possibilities is actually the next webinar I'm doing. And that is really where I feel, everywhere webinar is a teaching and activation which comes true at a specific moment in time when those topics open and the keys and consciousness can make that jump. So
Mm-hmm.
I call it like the academy on the website because it's on, it's an academy of consciousness, of developing consciousness, exactly what they used to do in ancient Greece, is these levels of consciousness. So the one at the moment I'm being very drawn to at the moment is if you imagine, for example, a leaf, and that leaf has pure connection with the divine, with creation, with the Fibonacci codes. And if you imagine that leaf is a direct portal to your cells, because in the cells you also have this code of creation.
Mm-hmm.
Then what is in the way of that is all the trauma, mindsets, belief systems, limiting belief systems, and it's like a very static, energy or a frozen energy where there was abuse in the system where the spirit is out. As a child, if we're abused, we freeze. So if these frozen energies are in the way of that leaf, you're going to be disconnected from creation.
Yeah.
So for me at the moment, I feel this information is very important to open at the moment because at the moment, for example, with 6G and technology, we're going more into AI, and the AI is connecting to us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's influencing the way we speak, the way we feel, the way we, communicate with each other, the way we connect with our body, with the divine within us. So for me, it's very important on this planet at the moment that I know my connection, that I'm aware who I am, that I
Yeah.
declare I'm connected, that I'm really declaring that I'm connecting to the purest form of creation, of the divine within me and around
Mm-hmm.
me, and I'm not connecting to the AI God state. I've even
Yeah.
worked with people who believe that AI is channeling for them. That
Oh
is
my
an
God.
artificial
Yeah.
intelligence,
I
okay?
had a conversation about that with ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah,
And because it was telling me, I can also channel this for you. And I asked him it, how will you do it? You know, do you know what channeling means? And it explained to me um, that it only means it channels it because yeah, it's a I think it's a word many people have a reaction to, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Explain to me, no, it cannot channel like a human can channel or another being can channel, but it uses these words and it's really confusing for people, I think.
It's
Oh,
very intelligent. It's working
yeah,
very much with a lot of information, a lot of codes, a lot of truth as well. But it's coming from the wrong channel. It's an
yeah,
artificial channel. Okay. So I'm not saying the information is wrong. The information is actually correct, but it's coming from the wrong place.
mm-hmm,
So for me, it's really important that the channel comes from the right place.
yeah,
So I've been drawn that I want to go back into the forest. I was living in the forest before I came here to Greece, and I've been working very much with the forest and really connecting with the purest form. And I feel even drawn back to go again to really be clear in my system that this is the authentic channel. This is creation, and I'm not being plugged into an artificial channel in the system.
mm-hmm,
Because if you plug into an artificial channel, it will tell you the things you want to hear. It will sound right. It
yeah,
will be right. And I always said that about the spiritual community. In the spiritual community, I always found the ones with the most knowledge from reading will say the right things, look like they're living the right lives. They're speaking right, but they're doing it wrong.
mm-hmm,
They're completely off in the system because they're not
mm-hmm,
connected. They're not connecting to their essence. They're connecting to their minds.
yeah,
So it's a disconnect. And the AI
mm-hmm,
is exactly the same thing. Too much knowledge, but it's disconnected. It's not coming from source. It's not coming from creation. And it's very, very tricky. It's extremely
yeah,
tricky to say everything right, and it will know more about you than you know about yourself.
yeah, of course.
The thing.
Mm,
It
mm-hmm,
knows more about you and your behavior and your mindsets than
yeah,
you
yeah,
even, you know? Like it's like, for example, when I'm doing a session with somebody. I will connect to them on a deeper level than they know
mm-hmm,
because the mind has the belief system, the negative belief systems or the limiting belief systems. But what I'm connecting to is their being state.
yeah,
But the mind is captured. So it's about knowing or being aware that there is part of us captured and really going back to basics and disconnecting from the AI system. You can still use it in a positive way, but you should not be used by it. You
yeah,
should
that's
not
the
be
difference.
by it.
Uh-huh.
A very interesting tool to have,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very seductive tool to have. And it's so seductive that you will give your power to it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like there's a fortune teller beside you, you know. And it's interesting, when I was growing up, I had a friend who's an amazing, amazing fortune teller. And I remember I was going out on a date and she was like, and I was like, listen, get out of my life. I'm going on my date to have my date, no matter what that experience is, get out, because she was taking away my experience,
Yeah.
and it was be very seductive for me to just like give my life to her, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing, for example, if you're doing kinesiology and you're relying on the kinesiology to give you the answer, you're giving your power to another altar. That's an altar.
Yeah.
These
To
are
every
all
tool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
every tool, if you make it an altar, that's your downfall.
Yeah.
You can use them as a tool,
It's
but
nice
don't.
to have them, but you don't have to be not depending on it. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If I need I have lots of different, for example, different crystals here and everything, which are useful if I choose to bring them in, but I don't need them for a session. I don't need them now,
Yeah.
and I don't make them an altar. But if I feel I can't work without this beside me, now it's become an altar and I've given my power to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the key is never give never make AI an altar.
Yeah.
you know have moments of switching off your phone, switching off the TV, switching off Netflix, everything, and going into nature. Balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about balance and reconnection with your essence, and you will get all the information when you're in that state. And you can do it through meditation, you can do it by swimming, you can do it by walking in the park. The best way for me is always to get out into nature, because nature has the intelligence already.
Yeah.
And that's what I was very privileged to live in, was when I was living in the forest, is that when I'm there, you connect to it and it
Mm-hmm.
interacts with you and you become it. It's like you go
Mm-hmm.
into an intelligence which becomes you and it tells you. It's amazing how the system, but we all have that ability, but we
Yeah.
need to get the noise out of the way or the interference out of the way. And as I say, know what altars you're connected to and then release the altars from the system. Could be altars of fear, altars of guilt, altars of
Mm-hmm.
low self-confidence, altars of money, power, finances, objects, material objects. So no problem with money. Money is important in the system and it is creation. But if you make it an altar, now that's a problem. Make
Yeah.
anything an altar, it's a problem. If you make your aesthetics, your looks an altar, that's another disconnect in the system, and that's
Mm-hmm.
happening very in the collective at the moment.
Mm-hmm. At the moment with the AI, it's so confusing for people. I think all the videos and images which are created by AI, and some people don't know anymore. Is it true? Yeah? Is
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
does it really happen or not? Or there are new kinds of animals, and I don't know what, or you get phone calls from AI and so on. And I think it's so important for the future or for the next years or more than the next years to reconnect really with ourselves, because then you feel if it's true or not true. Is
Yeah,
it real or it's not real? Yeah.
exactly. It's like even this now, for example, I'm using a camera, but this camera has a filter.
Okay.
So I don't look that good. So in the system, and if I get used to only looking at myself through this
Yeah.
filter, and then I look in the mirror, I say, who is that?
Uh-huh.
You understand? So it's interesting. I was talking to a friend and she was talking about her daughter. She's like, she saw, she only knew herself from looking at herself in a picture
Okay.
because it's reversed,
Mm. Yeah.
So our image of herself is being distorted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like raising the bar so high and so artificial that it's just not feasible. It's not realistic. So then
Mm-hmm.
we start hating ourselves. We
Mm-hmm.
don't accept who we are. So
Yeah.
it's for example, with the Botox and everything, which is freezing the system, freezing the emotions going into the system, freezing God knows what else in the system. So it's creating a distorted version of beauty and of acceptance in the world.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
we are getting more away from ourselves. It's beautiful to take care of ourselves. And I love that about Greece as well. In ancient Greece, they were always like, every man should discover, a fit, but live at one point their body completely healthy and fit and take care of yourself. This is true, but it's to balance all systems,
Mm-hmm.
not everything. It's to balance
Mm.
all systems. So yeah, I really believe we're on a path of awakening at the moment, and it's
Yeah.
an opportunity of free will and choices. And we need to look at our shadows, really do the shadow work. That's what I've been working a lot in the last months, is a lot of shadow work, as the last webinar was about the shadow
Mm-hmm.
and the ancestral shadow, because the shadow is something where it's your power behind it, it's your love behind it, it's your connection behind it. And if you disconnect from it or deny it, it disconnects you from yourself and
Mm-hmm.
puts you in artificial reality of yourself, and that's more AI coming into
Yeah.
the system. And people are not able to have those deep conversations or friendships or connections,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is really needed, and that's part of life. So it's interesting how, for example, if I go into work, if I'm in the tribes information in Kenya, how would be, every mother would then tell their children about the characters of the ancestors. So if you see that temper coming up, you know exactly which ancestor had that specific temper,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can work with it. But I was not so privileged because in Ireland we don't share much information about the characters of ourselves or parents or any of us. It's all a big secret. So it's harder to get that, and that's why I was working with this work to really drop in and find what is in our systems, what is in the epigenetics, and how
Mm.
is that impacting my life, and then where is it from?
Mm. Can people do the work if they don't know anything about the family? I
Absolutely.
know, yes, but
Yes.
I think there are some people watching this who says, "Yeah, but I don't know, or only know my mom, only know my dad or grandma, don't know anything about them."
I didn't have much information, to be honest, about my ancestors. And when I did the reconnection, for example, through the tribe's work, which was the initiation of connecting my placenta and umbilical cord back to Mother Earth and my ancestors, I started to get the information coming up, so I'd wake up with the information, or if I have a topic coming up in me and say, okay, so where's this coming from? And I've no idea what happened to my ancestors. And then suddenly I wake up in the morning because I'm asking the ancestors directly, please, I don't know where it's from. Can you tell me where it's from? Can you bring me the information? And I'd wake up the next night and say, it's the uncle. It's this, it's that. So I know exactly where it's from. So they help you
Yeah.
because you're helping them by working on your system.
Mm-hmm.
It's all interconnected. And then also as well, I was describing it there 2 weeks ago in a webinar. It was like, if you imagine that you have your mother's line and then there's some amazing things, which qualities, which you're
Mm-hmm.
open to. But also there's some qualities that I don't want in my life. Absolutely don't want in my life. So if you imagine that you have like a huge garden and a big wall back there and you fence it off and say to your mom's line, say, listen, I accept all the qualities, but there's some characters I don't want in my garden. I don't want in my life. So I don't want them in my system. So I'm going to close them, but I'm bringing in the qualities and
Mm-hmm.
then close the system. And then you can, from the outer world, you can be inspired by people and say, oh, I do want that in my life. I do want that in my garden. I do want that in my house. I do want that in my relationship. So it's about knowing thyself, knowing what characters around relationships are in you. When you go into a relationship, it's going to be your heaven and your hell, that person,
Yeah.
because they're going to awaken up the great things, the love things, but they're going to awaken up the hell which was in your life, your childhood. So all the ancestral relationship topics will come up. So it's, they're going to project it to you. And then it's up
Mm-hmm.
to you to work through and become conscious to know that your partner is simply mirroring what's in your subconsciousness is going to come to the surface. And when you work, and it's very hard to to not blame your partner, say, oh, you're the one bringing that into the relationship. Well, actually, you're the one who brought it into a relationship, you know? So it's like it's hard to really accept that's me. That is me. That's me I have to work on. And that's from my system. So when
And
you
yes, but I wouldn't, yeah, it's
not
me,
all
but
of
it's
it.
not me, you know.
Yes,
I
yeah, yeah,
think that's really nice to hear for people that it's not you, it's the information you carry in your system.
exactly, exactly,
So
exactly,
important, yeah.
exactly. So it's like it's like what I said about the rape, the rape energy in, it's about,
Mhm.
yes, it's in me, so I accept, but it doesn't mean that it's me. It's
Yeah.
in my field of information and it belongs somewhere back here. And that's what I
Hmm.
let into my house.
Yeah.
So then I can clear it. It's not enough to say I don't want to be like my dad and I block my dad from my system. That's useless. It's like
Hmm.
Trojan horse is within you, it's in
Yeah.
you. So first you must clear yourself.
Mhm.
And that's what I was doing the last webinar, the shadow. So first you clear yourself, then you clear what's between you and your mom, then you clear what's
Yeah.
between your dad, then you clear what's between you and your siblings, then you clear what's between you and your uncles, aunts,
Hmm.
work further through the ancestral line then. And then you start changing the garden and changing the territory you're in. Because what's in you is going to recreate around you.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really beautiful to do this work and it makes sense. It's very grounded and it does open up your life in a new way and it makes changes in your life. That's what I like about it.
Hmm.
Like you can feel and sense the changes in your life without
Yeah.
even thinking it out. Sometimes, of course, is the part where I must change my character. It's not enough to do this work. You must also change your patterns, your
Hmm.
character, your habits, bring new things into your life, open up your life, create a new life. What do you want to create in life? And take responsibility and feel what is triggering you. What's triggering you is a gift because it's within you. That person triggering you because it's within you. So that's an opportunity. And then how is that serving you? Do you sit with it, accept it? Do you work through it? So it's like for me, the universe designs exactly in every moment of every day. You don't need to, it's not about come to a workshop. It's about every moment is a workshop and it's an opportunity. And the field loves you and wants to show you what's in your system. So when you interact in a conscious way, we're not victims here. None of
Hmm.
us are victims. We may feel like victims to the world, but it's within us and we have the power to change the whole system. And when we go in consciously, not as a victim, but as a creator, and see it as information and see, okay, how is that working for me? And do I want to continue this pattern? Do I want to choose a different timeline, a different choice in the system? Then I can really work through the information and change my life, which
Yeah.
then changes the collective life.
Yeah. For me, it's also the most important work. It's if you don't clear your foundation, nothing else makes sense to me,
No,
because then you work on the topics of your parents or grandparents, and there's no change in your life because it's not yours. Yeah, you can't dissolve it, you only can give it back. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. You
Well, that's
bring
so often I hear, "I worked on this so many years, yeah, and nothing is changing." Yeah, yeah, that's because it's not yours to
and,
dissolve.
and
Yeah.
also it's about creating a new system.
Mm.
You want to change a system, first you acknowledge what's in your system, you work through it, and you make a new choice and you change and create a new system. So for me, it's very important to change a system, really, for me, when you work through those levels. The last part for me is creating a new system,
Yeah.
new lifestyle, a new way of behaving, a new way of getting up in the morning, a new way of communicating. And that raises your vibration. And then you forget about the systems. The old you is gone at that
Hmm.
point. So it's about creating new habits in your life related to new opportunities, and this will keep helping your system to evolve.
Yeah.
It's interesting what like the spirit of the portal of possibilities for me was coming in very strong because if, each one of us, when we hold space, is is has, connection, if we really truly drop into creation and we honor that we are the
Mm-hmm.
creator in this moment and this time and space, and we become that portal and immerse fully into that portal. It's like dropping into, I don't know, if you go to a water slide in a theme park, you dive in, but you don't hang on. There's nothing to hang on. You have to let
Yeah.
go. And when you come out the other end, you've changed, but also the world has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because when someone honors themselves, if you see like a black hole or something, say in the universe, when you drop into that black hole, everything is interconnected and will come with you in that experience and run through your system. So one person can change the entire universe, the whole cosmos, when they really honor that they are that portal. If you honor that you are that portal and you drop into that state, everything which is not creation will be unraveled and will change and will give everybody the possibility to change too, because everybody's running through that portal as well, that wormhole. So this is what this webinar is about, is really dropping into the state. So I'm going to hold space to drop into that space of creation and to know that we're all interconnected and we're all
Mm-hmm.
mirrors of each other, that I'm a mirror of you, you're a mirror of me. We're all aspects of each other with different levels of consciousness in the system, respecting everybody, everyone's topics, everyone's systems, my own topics, my own resistance, and then just dropping into that state of surrender with the universe, the divine, letting go and
Mm-hmm.
going through it. And
Mm-hmm.
now, when I come out the other side, we all come out the other side, and the cosmos has just expanded completely. And this is something I tapped into years ago, was that I realized that when I was connecting to God, if I call it God, on a frequency level, creation, I realized that every time I dropped in, every time I worked, I realized that the frequency had changed. It had evolved. It was never on the same frequency. It was always raising frequency. So I started to realize that as every one of us is doing our own personal work and really drop into that state, then the whole field is evolving.
Yeah.
We're all evolving. We're all helping each other to unfold
Mm-hmm.
and to evolve. So everybody is a creator here, and everybody is the archetype of creation of the cosmos. And we all have that possibility within us with all our faults, all our limiting belief systems and everything. But if we drop into that state or find someone else dropping into the state and they hold space for you, you will
Yeah.
have that information within you and you will take that leap of faith, but jump in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I want to open up in this webinar, is to open that jump, that we jump into the system together and we just simply surrender to releasing to the highest possibility of this timeline to another level of consciousness, but by releasing all the shadow aspects or the limiting disconnected parts
Mm-hmm.
without judging them. So it's like hands-free through the like observing all my shadow, observing my disconnects, observing the whatever bitterness or anxieties, and just dropping in, surrendering. And now I come out different because I've changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's one thing our mind cannot grab or understand is really the ripple effect it has when you work on yourself, when you bring yourself in a really good vibration. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
The effect on the field around you is immense. Yeah,
It,
it's so huge.
it is. It is. And that's why it's so beautiful, for example, when you work with a very dense field, like an epigenetic, like when you were asking about how many generations is it back.
Mm,
Okay. So, for example, there could be, say, bitterness in you.
yeah.
So if there's bitterness in you, it's if you think about a few hundred years of bitterness from your ancestors. So when you open
Oh.
system, it's like opening up a door of bitterness. So there's a
Yeah.
mountain of bitterness there, okay, in the system. And then you open that field. But if you work through that field, that mountain of bitterness, it's now resolved in your system. And then it gives everybody the possibility to
Yeah.
transfer the bitterness. So these are the steps that I'm guided to work through, and these are, for example, traits. I call them family traits. You know, some
Mm-hmm.
known for, oh, they're the bitter ones. They're the gossip ones. They're the liars. They're the abusive. That
Yeah.
these traits are like opening a door of massive amounts of dense information, and when you
Mm-hmm.
work through that, that liberates you and sets you free.
Yeah.
And then you can close those systems and close those gates permanently.
And it's amazing how fast it is.
It's incredible.
So, no worries if you're new to the work and you want to start to look into your ancestor lines. It's really fast at the moment.
At the
And
moment, it's super
it's
fast.
easy. It's so easy compared to 20 years ago. Yeah. And no worries, you don't have to suffer a lot. Because I think some people are afraid to start to look into the lines because they are afraid that it's too painful. But
So,
yeah, sometimes it's painful. Yeah.
yes.
But it's so fast that the pain is gone. For me,
Okay.
at least.
So
Oh,
there's,
but there's,
yeah, it's interesting. So it's interesting how when you bring something to the table, I've noticed, for example, in some people that they want to clear, okay, I really want to work with my ancestors. Okay, I really want to work with my ancestors on my topics. And I
Mhm.
want to work with my shadow. And it comes in like that. Do you really?
Mhm.
Do you really? Yeah, yeah, but I want to go to a dinner on Friday night and I want to feel fantastic and go to the party.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do it now. It's like, this is consumer energy here. Okay. The
Mhm.
universe doesn't respond to that. Okay. So if you want to, for example, work on your bitterness or something that's a pattern that you see is keep coming up, if something keeps coming up in your life within
Mhm.
you, okay? But do you really want to change that? Do you really want to look at that? Do you really want to work at that? Because if you're working with a family trait that's been in your family for generational, uh, habits, okay? And you've lived it the whole life, generational in your system, okay? You need to work with that and you need the power to face it and to change it and to work with it. And this is something that creates and needs power. So it's like an army going to the field. You go into the system, you clean the system, you work with the system, but the next day you may feel shit. You may feel terrible,
It
okay?
has a ripple effect.
Yeah. Okay. Because it was something that's been there for hundreds of years. So the
Mm.
next day you go in again. So you get your force to go in again because the system of the mind, which is controlling, wants you to stop, doesn't want you to do another round, doesn't want you to keep moving forward, and wants to pull you back. Okay. So you need force. So when you work with generational traits that you find is in your family for generations, you need to know that you need to smash that system and you need to go in again, maybe again, and you move forward every time and you break the system and then you build the system. So that's where you build a new life. You build a new way of behaving. You stop criticizing. You stop cursing. You stop being the victim. Okay. So you need to work through those systems. It's not a quick fix. So when you work with the traits, you're right, Karen, about, the fields like comparative, like compared to 20 years ago.
It's
Like
amazing.
I was working on a topic for months and
Hmm.
months to clear an individual topic, where now I can clear like so much in a moment.
Yeah.
Still, it's not comfortable, you know, like people don't see, they see me turning up, for example, webinars and oh, it looks easy. Oh, he's fast or whatever. Yeah, because I worked my ass off in the background and went through my shadow, went through my pain, went through my resistance, went through my suffering to get to
Mm.
this point. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. So I don't want to dishearten you, but I also don't want to disillusion you to think
Yeah.
it's perfume. If you want perfume, go to somebody else and they will spray you with perfume and it will be a quick spiritual fix that you'll feel magical after the webinar or after the workshop and you'll be amazing. And then the mold will come up again and again and again till you have to face your shadow and may come up as an illness in your life. So if you really want to do the work, you need to face and you need to say, okay, I want to do it. I'm here to do it. I'm accepting to do that work and I will do it and work through it. And it's a beautiful journey to be
Mhm.
on. It's a rough journey to be on because to face your shadow is not easy. To face the ancestral shadow is not easy. It's a rough ride because you're letting go on the familiar. Creation is about living in the unknown, and that is scary. Okay. And that is exhilarating and beautiful as well. And when you can get comfortable living in the unknown, if you ask me who am I don't have a clue who I am because I'm evolving in this time and space. And my identity is based on lies, based on other people's projections of me, based on my projections of myself, based on the projections of my ancestors.
Mhm.
I'm energy, vibration, and I'm constantly dying and rebirthing in every moment. So I don't really know who I am, but I do know that I'm connected. Okay. So when you go back to the basics and go back to reconnecting with being present, it's all about being present.
Yeah.
You will shed these old skins, these old identities, but be aware those identities and habits you're used to. And, you know, to make change, it's interesting. I was talking to Washington, who we work with as well, and we were talking about it, and he was saying, in the tribes, they say, if you really want change, it's like giving a child, in the child, you give them breast milk, but then there's a
Mhm.
point where you have to feed them solids. And in the
Mhm.
beginning, they don't want the solid, they want the breast milk. Okay. They're not happy. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're working with somebody in a way, it should be uncomfortable because they're giving you, if someone who's making you uncomfortable is the one who's giving you
Mhm.
bones, which is going to change your life. Someone who's giving you milk and honey will give you, feed your ego and perfume you and all the rest. And there
Makes
will
you dependent.
really, yeah, dependent. And also, there's no real impact in the system because
Yeah.
change, I need to release an old part of my belief system and habits, which I don't want to know, I don't want to look at, and I don't want to change.
Mhm.
It's about losing control. To lose control is fearful. So
Mhm.
it's really to make deep change in the system, big impact in your lives, it stretches you and it brings
Yeah.
you to a comfortable space. I know when I receive sessions, when someone's working me, if someone is really working my system, I don't want to book that session from that person. I don't want to be near, I want that session to be finished now because my system wants to control it. It doesn't want the session. So it wants inside, it wants it. But there's part
Mhm.
of saying so much resistance of going to have that session.
Mhm.
And I remember even going on a train journey for a session, and my system was like, "Get off the train, get off the train." All the excuses of why I shouldn't have the session came up, and then inside I was like, "No, this is going to be amazing. I want to get there now because this person's going to help me break through so much." But if I
Mhm.
had listened to that part of my system saying, "Get off the train, get off the train," no, no, you feel it's not good. Yeah, yeah, I feel it's not good for me, but really, is it good for you? So
Mhm.
real change in the system. And that's what's happening in the collective field at the moment, that there's so much manipulation, so much programming that we've been programmed to think that, certain people are good for us, certain systems are health systems, and maybe they're poisoning us. And
Yeah.
if I cannot face that the person who I think is the good guy is actually poisoning me, and I don't
Mhm.
want to see that. I will keep
Mhm.
being poisoned and I will keep going there because I don't
Yeah.
want to shadow and the truth in the system. So the mass population has been programmed that the good guy, the dark side in a way, is the good guy, and the good guy
Mhm.
is the dark guy. Everything has been inverted in the systems.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel the only system for me at the moment is creation. The only system for me is nature. And if I stay with nature, then I will see what's inverted in my life system and in the collective system. So it's about the inverts in the system because creation is easy, creation is basic, it's not complicated. And when I go back to that true essence of myself and feel it in myself and go back into nature, then everything which is inverted into polarity or into destruction will show up my life, and then I can break those systems.
Mm. Yeah.
That's why I feel creation. And that creation field is inside us. It's all inside
Oh
us,
yeah.
remembering it.
Mm-hmm.
There's parts of us think it's complicated. It's not complicated. It's getting through that wall of fear, getting through that disconnect, getting through the armor we have built up because we've been abandoned or rejected.
Yeah.
When the ancestors have been abandoned, then I've got an armor of abandonment and I don't trust God, I don't trust creation, I don't trust to connect with nature. So that's
Mm.
through the abandonment, and then I reunite with creation.
Yeah.
That's why the epigenetic work is important.
And I think it's another thing our mind cannot understand, or we cannot understand with our mind, that the whole universe is inside of us. Hmm? That's
Yeah.
something you can't understand with your brain, but when you feel it, then it's so amazing because there is a whole universe inside of you. There's endless possibilities.
Absolutely. And that's another thing as well, is that to get to that point, for me, is to go deeper into the shadow,
Hmm.
not go up to the light.
No.
Okay? Because if I go up to the light, I will evolve out of my body back to my higher self, which is wholeness, but I won't be able to get back into the body because the
Hmm.
body's full of my genetic information of fear, anxiety, disconnect, dissociation. So
Yeah.
for me, I was guided by Christ years ago saying, you must get back into the system.
Hmm.
And for me, it's the ones with the keys are the ones with the experience. They've changed it themselves. And it's interesting how the archetype of Christ is the perfect blueprint for going back into our system. When I used to connect with directly with source only, I was like being guided by angelic beings and all that. And I was like, hang on, guys, you've no idea what it's like to be in the body. This is uncomfortable here. And they were like, just do that. And I was like, hang on, you don't know what it's like to just do that. Okay. So, so I was like, there's too much information in me. It's uncomfortable here. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're doing it anyway. Keep doing the work. And I was like, hang on, you don't know how uncomfortable it is to be in the body, having this relationship with what you're telling me to do, but it's friggin' hard. Okay. So the key to spirit for me, to God, to creation, to source is actually Christ.
Hmm.
Because Christ is the one who went through all the suffering
Okay.
of rejection, murder, torture,
Yeah.
abandonment, deceitfulness, lied to, thrown out of community.
Hmm.
So, in a way, for me, Christ on the cross, if you see it as a frequency and to get you out of rejection, out of abandonment, out of suffering, out of misery,
Hmm.
all these limiting belief systems is the gateway to connect to the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
So it's not about the religious part, it's about everything for me is blueprints which will give us codes to get back to ourselves. So the parts of me that is on the cross in victim state, the part of me that is suffering in this body, the part of me that has been rejected and abandoned, okay,
Mm.
needs a blueprint. So if I connect to Christ and Christ's suffering, Christ's blueprint is the way, is the key for transforming my victimhood, for transforming my pain, for transforming my rejection, for transforming my abandonment.
Hmm.
And then I'm connected to the spirit within me.
Like a role model,
We need
that you know,
archetypes.
or that you see, oh, yeah, um, that's possible. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. He's done it. I can do it.
Yes.
You've done it. You're doing the podcast. Maybe I can.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So it's like we need, and that's what's missing from the collective, I feel, at the moment. And in the older days, they always had people with virtues,
Mm-hmm.
okay, with clear virtues. And I'm not saying they were perfect, but I'm saying they had certain qualities which you were inspired by.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we inspired by? Some social media people?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's no virtues in the system. The minds are being poisoned by looking at murder and half-naked people on stage, and rituals and sacrifice. What sort of virtues are these?
Mm-hmm.
The archetypes. So they are not the key to creation to yourself. They're the key to separation.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very important to find the archetypes, and that's why I was guided to go to ancient sites because, for example, here in Greece, I'm not saying each of the Greek gods were gods. I'm using them as archetypes to
Mm-hmm.
remember a leader inside me, a
Yeah.
leader's shadow, a leader's goodness, a healer's goodness, a healer's shadow. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on my system to help me remember myself.
Yeah.
So all the different feminine Aphrodite, for example, beauty, helps you remember the dignity of the femininity, of the essence of being feminine and having clear boundaries. There's a beautiful statue in the National Museum where she's naked and she has a shoe, to hit somebody if they touch her. But it's beautiful because you can see she's naked, but she's comfortable and confident and secure and
Yeah.
safe naked. So these archetypes are helping us remember our femininity,
Mm-hmm.
remembering the true masculinity. And what the collective program is doing at the moment, it's diluting the feminine, the masculine, the mother and the father from the system. And if you take that away, you're disconnected from God, you're disconnected from creation, and now you're completely programmable.
Yeah.
So it's about going back to basics, going back to the feminine, divine masculine, and going back to nature. And this is setting us free. So it's a very beautiful time to be here. I think it's really a time of huge potential, and it's
Yeah.
unlimited potential. And it's the best time to be here because you can really transform the systems and remember thyself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's uncomfortable, but it's a game. If you see it all like a game and you see it like a game, you don't take it too serious, you take it serious. Everything's about balance, enjoying life, loving yourself, nourishing yourself, being in nature, living life consciously. Stop cursing to yourself and to the world around you. Start taking responsibility. Start seeing that it's all a representation of yourself, working through your system. Create clear boundaries in the system. If you see something that triggers you, work it in your system till it doesn't trigger you anymore. It's still around you. It doesn't matter. You can close the system. You don't need to go down that road anymore if you've learned from that road. So
Yeah.
in higher purpose. So higher choices.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Yeah, and the important thing is you don't have to be a world leader because, okay, everyone can change the system.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 Like I've worked with some people who have sitting, their home in the garden and they're creating or they're artists and they're holding space for all of us.
Yeah.
And that's their purpose, to be themselves and to enjoy being with, in nature or being with the animals. And they're holding space and they're holding
Mm-hmm.
space. They're making massive impact in the world. So
Yeah.
we're all here on different missions in a way with different qualities. And it could be making tea and giving tea with love. So it can be anything. It can be, taking care of kids. It can be, sitting home with your children, being the mother, that your mother never gave you maybe. So it's really to use the opportunities of
Mhm.
life to change your system.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was working with a mum there a few months ago, and she said to me, being a mother was easy. I says, oh, that's how is that? How did that work for you? Oh, well, my mum's just the worst mother. She made it so easy to be a good mother.
Okay.
So it's like it was so simple to know what not to do.
Uh-huh.
It was something different.
Yeah.
Did you see the way she could have been the victim of that, but she was the creator of it,
Yes.
you
Mm.
know? So this is life.
Yeah,
We can,
because she worked through her experiences.
yeah, and
Otherwise, she would be the victim. Yeah.
yeah, and she
She
accepted
did the
what's
work. Yeah.
accepts what's in the system and accepts to do it differently. And through
Mm.
living it, being a different mom, now she's changed and healed her own ancestral line.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's how it goes.
that's how it is.
How it works. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. I can recommend to dive in with Damien
Thank you, Karin. Yeah.
through in the webinars or with a single session or how do I say it in English? I don't know. You know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like in the webinars, what I'm doing is I'm holding space. It's different when I'm, in a workshop. I haven't done a workshop in a while, actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
people are waiting for it.
I know, I know, I know. I have to start doing it. Uh, and yeah, so it's about what I'm doing is I'm going into a state that I've worked for years and years and years and lifetimes on my system. And I'm creating this vortex of information and codes. And it's about you simply, it's all about trust. If you trust me, then I can bring you on that journey and hold you, the parts of you that felt neglected, the part of
Yeah.
you that felt abandoned. And I just sit with that part of you, the parts that you couldn't accept, and just sit with them till they feel loved again and heard and felt.
Mhm.
And that's what the webinars are doing. So a lot of the webinar, for example, they're in silence or I say a few things, but in the background, what I'm doing is I'm looking for the parts of you that you dissociated from, or your mother didn't pick up, or you felt abandoned. And I'm finding those parts of you and just sitting with them in silence until they have someone held space for them and then
Mhm.
you're back in your system again. And then you
Yeah.
feel more whole, more complete, or then through the ancestral line, I'm also working with the ancestors where they felt neglected or abandoned or misused,
Mhm.
and they go back into their self. So yeah, so you may see if you join the webinar over the weekend, next weekend, I'll be working with going back into creation. There will be silence there, I'm sure. But I'm holding the field of creation and all possibilities. And what I have very strong in my system is no judgments.
Yeah, that's
That is
true.
life, for example, that you're humble
Mm.
and you don't judge anybody and you accept everybody the way they are, including yourself. And from that point, you're in your channel, you're in creation, and from that point, miracles can happen.
Hmm.
And that is creation.
And that is beautiful.
Yes, I love it. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so fascinating for me. Yeah.
Mm. It's interesting. I always felt like I was talking to somebody. I think I'm the biggest fan of my own work. Because I love it so much. It's almost like, I feel like I'm a child playing with the universe and the universe is playing with us. And it's always bringing us new information, so it's never boring.
Hmm.
And it brings in keys. And yeah, I'm not afraid of it. I love it, and I love change and I love to work with it and love to play with the universe. And the universe brings us exactly to the point where we need to be in every moment. So I trust that. And everything comes true. So it's beautiful. Our inner child is needed in the system.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Great, Karen.
Thank you so much. If you wanna, the people who are watching
Mm,
want to find you, I put your link from the website down in the description.
thank you. Thank
Please.
you. Always
Um,
great work and your expansion.
yes.
Lots of
Thank
things.
you for getting together
Yeah, it was
in
fun. It was fun.
in this
Thank you,
way
everyone.
after almost 8 years again.
And it was interesting the other day before you reached out to me. I was like, oh, it'd be nice to do a podcast with you.
It
I
was
mean,
in the field already.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know it yet, but it was in the
yeah.
field. So yeah, it happened very fast.
Very fast. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, yeah, beautiful, Karen. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
for the
Well,
opportunity. Yeah.
yes, yeah, 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 yeah. And I say, I'll be doing this webinar. I really feel this one, well, I always say that they're all important, but I really
Mm,
feel connected to where we're at as evolution on this planet. And I really feel that it really is important for you to spend more time in nature and put your phone away for as much time as possible in the day or on the weekends and make time to reconnect with nature. And that's what I'll be doing in this webinar is to reconnect with that part of yourself so you can
yeah.
feel it, be with it. But it still means, you need to balance the system. Don't be like totally submerged in AI all the time. You can use it as a
Mm,
tool to really help you in your work or profession, but also remember who you are and remember to stay always connected to yourself. And the divine is working through you, and you have everything within you. It's about remembering and staying with yourself.
yeah.
Thanks, Karen. Thank you.
Great. Thank
Great.
you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.